What's up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com. Welcome back to our Kentucky Derby coverage. We go horse by horse, 2025 Kentucky Derby contenders, and let's keep going. And I'll pull up Sandman. That's who we'll talk about here in this one. Of course, Sandman, very popular horse at the betting windows throughout the Triple Crown, or I should say Kentucky Derby season, as far as the lead up to the race, and finally got the job done last time out in the Arkansas Derby. 3 starts, 1 first, 1 second, 1 third this year. 8 starts overall. 3 first, 1 second, and 2 thirds. All right, let's get to it. Let's look at what he has done so far. And like I said, the Arkansas Derby, a big win last time out, got the perfect setup, but was able to get the job done, able to take advantage of that setup. So the two things had to happen. There were other closers in the race as well. He was the one that took advantage the most. So good on him. A very excellent performance there in the Arkansas Derby. This is a horse that we've known all along has the talent, hasn't had the mental part of it quite wrapped up yet, right? Back in December of last year, he won an allowance right here at Oaklawn Park. And then just kind of was his own worst enemy in the Southwest Stakes and Rebel Stakes, finishing second and third. Just couldn't quite put it all together. Finally did in the Arkansas Derby. I also think it's important to note that was the first race stretching out to 1 1/8. He had been at 1 16th, so I think the extra distance really helped that horse as well. We'll talk about that when we talk about the pedigree. Some of his earlier races as well, kind of the same kind of thing. He's a horse that kind of makes his own trouble at times, especially you look at the Southwest, but in some of his other races, kind of it wasn't as obvious he was making his own trouble, but he was still kind of not doing exactly what he needed to do. Even the Arkansas Derby, he takes the lead down the stretch, and he was wandering around and kind of looking around for other horses. Now, he did kind of drift a couple times, but I will say he never let the other horses into the race, meaning they weren't really making ground up on him. He was just kind of weaving back and forth, but staying ahead a comfortable margin of the rest of them. So that's good. Publisher was a horse finished second to him, and he was kind of starting to, try at least to bear down on him, and he wasn't make up any ground. So he was wandering around. He doesn't need to be doing that in the Kentucky Derby, but, again, overall, that Arkansas Derby was pretty strong. But, yeah, a nice pace to run into. All right, let's look at the breeding. He is by Tappet out of a Assorted Humor mare. So, again, no problem with distance. He should be fine in the Kentucky Derby, but you do circle that Tappet part of it, and you go, okay, well, maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit of the problem with the mentally just not quite getting there. These Tappets usually mature pretty late, and that's why the Derby's kind of been a little bit of an issue for these Tappet runners. You kind of got to, be pretty mature mentally to win the Derby. So he did show up, though, with a big race. I love that last spot. I've got him number 2 ranked right now. So I do think, he is super talented. And I've thought that all along with this horse. Now, we always look at the negatives as well when we're handicapping and when we're doing these videos. And, we've touched on it. And mentally, it's a problem. You cannot, I can't stress it enough, have a trip like the Southwest where you break and you just get yourself in all kinds of trouble. You just can't do it. You're going to be dead in the Derby. I think the other big thing, and we've seen it, closers have been okay in the Derby the last few years because the pace has set up for them. It has been very fast and it's set up for them. Will that happen this year? We did have a run before Rich Strike where the pace was not very fast and closers did have trouble. But look, if it sets up for him, that's step one. Step two, he does seem like the type that's not going to weave in and out of horses. I think he's just going to be wide in the Derby, and we're just going to have to live with that, and he's just going to have to overcome that. He can if the pace sets up. So I expect him going to have to swing out 6 wide, when he makes that run, and he's going to have to overcome that. There's just no kind of way around it. So those are some negatives. I don't see this horse hugging the rail the whole race, something like that. He's a big horse, not the greatest behaved like we're talking about, although last time, like I said, he was all right. But still, I think they'll just try to kind of keep him wide, make a run, and hope he can get there. And like I said, with the right pace set up, he probably can get there. So overall final verdict on Sandman, I think he's a big-time contender. Again, I do think with closers in the Derby, they are, pace dependent. And so that'll just have to materialize, and, it either will or it won't. That's kind of racing luck, right? I don't think you worry about it too much. I think with the pace scenario this year, on paper, it looks like it should be if the horses kind of do what they're supposed to. You got a couple, Rodriguez and and East Avenue that are a little inconsistent. That is a little worrisome. Will they do what they're supposed to make that pace go? I'm not quite sure. So, but I think he's a primetime contender. Talking about Sandman, I think he'll be tough to beat. And if he can kind of just get a clean trip, I think he'll come running, and he'll be one they're going to have to hold off. So, yeah, like Sandman quite a bit for this Kentucky Derby. All right, guys, that'll do this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerting time we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're playing the Kentucky Derby, and stay tuned for more Kentucky Derby coverage.